There's no way that you can stop until you get started. So it's 2024. It's time to get things rolling on what's going on inside your head. Congratulations. You are here now. Where's that? In a space where you're able to do what you need to do for you and those that actually matter. We're live on set. Irv. The quality of your living is based entirely upon your ability to play the game. You'd be surprised how many people out here struggling playing the game right now. Now, pacing yourself is not the problem. But you'd be surprised how many people out there aren't really pacing themselves and running around frantic because they're just so emotional. Now, I could totally understand about being emotional and how, going with the struggle of trying to find a balance, because when we get these feelings for what we love to do, sometimes, we get riled up. The things that we want to get done, it feel like it's never ending, like it's not gonna happen. That's a struggle in itself. And not thinking clear. That'd be a big problem that we have. We don't think clear. We don't make sense. We think we have to act out in order to get our point across. And you don't have to act out to get your point across. You don't have to be looked at as an animal. You can be looked at as a professional, as a man with integrity and respect. People know how to when around you. Think about that. How many people around you know how to? A lot of people think they know how to, and then they get put in a situation and they just don't know how to. And this year, just looking forward to just balancing out more with those that need to be more in the know-how to. And I mean know-how to in several things, because building a business, being in school, teaching education to kids in the South Bronx, being a, significant other to many people, being a father, being these positions of power that allow me to keep myself together. Being a solid brother to a lot of my peoples, is priceless, as well as, timeless. And shout out to you guys as well. It's about really pacing yourself. When you're pacing yourself, you have to remember that everybody's pace is different. And when I mean different, you can't frown upon anything that's going on with anybody else. If anything, it should be something that you look at as encouragement, things to move forward towards. And when you do things like that and you have that type of thought process, it allows you to look at the glass half full versus half empty. Some people look at it half empty and start to lose their mind, saying, oh man, I only got halfway to go and it's a wrap. And it's like, nah, baby, I got more to sip on our side. You heard me? We have more to sip towards, more things to sip and then be more creative about, and then figure other things out, and not looking at the worst case. But in order to do that, you have to pace yourself. You have to start looking at your situations in smaller frames, looking at your businesses and the things you want to practice and exercise and put into motion in smaller boxes, breaking it down to a smallest frame, knowing that when you get through this, it's going through regardless. It's the same thing when I'm putting this program together. I'm doing all these things on my own. Everything that's happening right here, I'm in a room on my own putting these things together. When some people say a one-man band, what does that really mean? And with all due respect and with all love, man, tag your one-man bands inside the comments, because shout out to them guys as well, because I know that it's a lot of work. And I'm connected to a lot of one-man bands. And one-man bands are not people that don't have manpower. You know what I'm saying? It's just that they're able to do a lot more things than the average Joe. Believe that. And yeah, that's what it's all about, man. And finding yourself, a space to tap into what you love. You know what I'm saying? And really, really pace yourself and realize that with every small step, it's only just another area, another direction towards your main goal. And believe it or not, next thing you know, you'll be having your head up and you'll be graduating, or you'll have the job, or you will be, known into it. You can add it to your EPK. It's something that you can add to your resume. It's things that you could also advance in just for yourself. And when you look around, time has changed and people will change because the things that you also do for yourself and the things that you exude, and with time and with patience and people being able to see that you are qualified to navigate for it's the same thing. Like, this is a resume as well. This is work. People have to actually see that I'm able to stay consistent, stay on the move, change clothes and go, not have it all the way figured out and still figure it out. Push the button. But as I tell you guys, you cannot, and you will not stop until you actually start something. And with that being said, we're going to go to break. Each one teach one. We're live on set. Earth. If you're looking for ways to update your electronic press kit without blowing the budget, finally figured it out for you guys. For years, we've been figuring it out here at Some Law Entertainment. As a music artist, I get that we all have humble beginnings and all start from somewhere that made us passionate about expressing what's inside. Some Law Company makes it simple to get those necessary industry standard headshots, aerial images, as well as candid moments from a space that doesn't require you to be anyone but yourself. With Some Law, there's no need to continue putting on parts of your creativity that could change your life and others for an eternity. We all need different perspectives to each project to see if it moves at full capacity. So why not get started now and see where it takes you? Look, we're in the end of 2023, and even those headshots from COVID begin to be a thing of the past. Reach out to us. Quite sure there's something that we can always work out. What's the worst that can happen? Is that something's going to happen. I'll see you in the studio. Everybody help. Whoa, boy. Listen, man, we've been figuring this out, and it has not been the easiest task at all, but I do not regret it for a moment. Trust and believe that. And everybody who's been chiming in, checking us out, and just been supportive, showing your love, laughing at it, doing your thing, and, just going with the flow, man, and understanding that everybody has to start somewhere. And when everybody say their definition is starting from the bottom, what's your definition of starting from the bottom? When did you realize that this is the direction you want to go in? You know what I'm saying? Where did you come from? When I say, the South Bronx, New York City, when I say Patterson Projects, when I say, Morris, when I say certain places, they be like, okay. I say Lincoln Hospital, you could trace my roots. I don't care where you from, man. Just drop it in the chat real quick, man. Drop it up inside the comments and let people know where you from. You know what I'm saying? And put home on the map. Believe that. And shout out to everybody out here who's just been pushing through. and making sense of whatever it is. And I'm telling you guys, there's no such thing as a stupid question, and there's no such thing as a bad idea. You just have to break it down to its smallest form, and quite sure it could work itself out. But it's about you giving yourself the time to do that. And while you're giving yourself the time, don't give yourself the pressure. Don't give yourself pressure at all. Giving yourself pressure, it doesn't make any sense. Don't give yourself any pressure. Allow you to just be exactly how you need to be. That's the best bet. That's your best bet. That's going to be the best bet for you to be the best you. That's really being you to the fullest. That's being beautiful. That's not being an itty bitty bit. That's all the way through, baby. Believe that. And when you give yourself the time to take an idea, it's the same thing as in planting a seed. It's the same thing as in, a woman being pregnant or an animal being pregnant. Certain time frames, different. The universe, different from a woman and maybe an elephant and, and different animals around the world and different. Planting the seed and watching the root and starting it from the bottom all the way up. And you start to realize that that's the same thing as with our ideas. No idea is going to have the same formula, the same format, how you have to implement it as a recipe or certain things. There's no recipe that's going to be one and the same. That's why when I say, hey, when I say, starting from the bottom, and even if all the people said the South Bronx, it's still going to all have different stories because all from different angles. Any way you roll the dice. Could be the same hood, could be the same project building, could be on the same floor. It's still going to be a different angle. And when you give yourself the time, I'm talking about to the people who really want to give themselves the time, like people who want to take time and invest in something and give it its all. And giving yourself time is very, very important because a lot of us are losing our shit. Excuse me. A lot of us is losing our minds by not giving ourselves the time. And then watching other people prosper, and then you wondering why you didn't even give yourself a chance to even try anything. Try something. But it goes right back to that integrity. Because I realize that there's people out there who want to try things, but then they're also selling themselves short. They're not looking at the inspiration in things. What I won't do is ask myself if that has anything to do with me. Because 9 times out of 10, it really doesn't. It has nothing to do with you. So that means it's in your best interest to sit back. Focus on what you need to do for you. How you need to navigate to make your life better for you first and foremost. See, the beautiful thing about being an educator is I always want to be into education anyway. I love, finding out things and then telling people about it. But it's not about me like saying a teacher or saying, hey, I'm telling you that this is how it goes and this is the bottom line. It's more of a, hey, this is what I heard. This is what I'm throwing out there from what I know so far. And then we can even debate it. Or if not, maybe it's something that they're learning for the first time also. Vice versa. So when you're listening to people and when you're loving to just in education and also just loving music, and even if I learn something through music or through song or through sounds or just being creative, I always just try to I always try to teach people, what would be a cool way of doing something or approaching it or implementing it into their visual, into their audio, or something that was, production, production worthy. And yeah, I always want to push people to get to the next level. Always want to see people like prosper. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you cannot catch yourself wanting to see more in somebody than they see in themselves. All you should be attracting are people that are investing in themselves. It sounds crazy, right? Because you say, wait a minute. If I'm focusing on me and they're focusing on them, how do we recognize one another? It's very, very easy. You could be sitting on a train. I sit on a train and watch some nosy people just be all in my business. And some people in my business just being nosy. And some people in my business and they're like looking. I was on a train yesterday coming home and I'm editing one of the episodes. And she taps me and with her elbow and she looks at me and she throws her thumbs up because she's looking down. And then, I look back and I was like, appreciate it. And then she pulls her phone out, it's one of the little flip phones, and she started editing something as well. And then I looked just randomly, and I looked at her, and she looked at me, and she was like, I was like, okay, so you do content as well, which is cool, which is very, very cool. And it's funny because we didn't exchange any information or nothing at all. It was more of I reminded her that she had work to do. And remember, I tell you guys, if what you do, if it's passionate, if you're doing it with passion, and it inspires people to get themselves together, is that enough? Because for some to be surprised, it's really not. Some people say, shit, I gave the idea, why I'm not prospering? Or I gave the information, why I can't do it? They say, yo, if you give the information, why are you not doing it? Because sometimes it's about the person who gives it, not the person who's delivering it. When you're mailing things off, it's the mailman that delivers it. There's a third party in between communication. Sometimes, even when you're getting yourself together, you need to start implementing people into the equations to hold life and situations accountable for what's to come. Listen, I know that as you get yourself together, those that are around you are getting themselves together. And that's what the universe is basically saying to you. Is that those are around you reflecting the same exact thing that you're doing. So whatever you're doing, what you give is what you got. What you give into what you love is exactly what you get out of it. What you put into your passion is what you get out of it. When you go to sleep at 11:30 and wake up at 1:30, 2 o'clock, and you're already recording at 3:30, and then it becomes like close to 5, and you've been recording and you've been going and going and going and figuring it out on your own, figuring it out. That's what I'm talking about. When you put so much of your passion into it, God stays in the room, do what needs to get done, and you don't think about the money. Forget the money. Do not think about money. Money is not why you are starting your page. Money is not why you should be starting a podcast. If you have tits, it's not why you should be starting a podcast. If you have ass, it doesn't matter. None of that stuff matter. You need to have something that you actually care about. You have to actually stand for something. It's cool when you want to see people say, yo, I got this going on. And it's like, wait a minute, what do you really got going on again? Because I don't believe you. I don't see it. You'd be surprised how many people say, hey, I want to start this. Hey, I want to do this. I'm doing this for money. When you talk about money, God walks out the room. We're live on set. If you're like most creators, then being original is your most valuable asset. And when you're ready to make huge improvements, it can feel as if everything costs too much or it takes too long. But something as simple as updated headshots from some law can separate you from what everyone else is still doing. Those you have industry standings with recommend some law for years, so you know the job's going to get done successfully and at a low cost. Especially when those extra dollars got to go to something else in the budget, like lighting, aerial shots, photo shoots, everything else that's studio requirements. Hit us up. Free consultation. Ask your questions. Maybe we can assist with what makes sense. Once you're able to think about the finances, the process of the project goes so much more smooth. Look, we're at the end of 2023. So for your photo shoots, headshots, aerial imagery, video, as well as musical production, don't wait any longer. Come see why we're one of the best recommended on the East Coast. Protect what's worth protecting. And I'll see you guys in the studio. Peace. What a drag, it is getting old. Yo, we are live on set, believe that, where we're discussing how we're going to strategize, how we're going to execute, and who our team is when it comes to whatever the situation is, whatever the event is, whatever the project is, whatever it is, whatever your classroom setting is just what it is. You're going to need to be on set, live, active, and on the go, because everything that's live is moving. Trust and believe that. We are into the new year, and we're talking about how we're getting out and how we're getting away, how we're branching out. And if I had to mention anything, it's definitely, without question, 168 hours. I know some people who only sleep sometimes in a week. In 168 hours, they do that for 7, so they'll sleep 3 hours a day, 7 days a week. They'll sleep 21 hours of that time. You add in the cat naps, you add in your time. I know people who are putting in, so when I ask you, what is the amount of hours that you are putting in as far as your sleep? Okay, now as far as your business, as far as your job, as far as your relationship time with whoever, whatever time you got with your friends, whatever you have going on, how do you break down your 168 hours? Times that by 4 and you let me know. How are you breaking these times out? How are you breaking these times out? How are you giving your time? How much sleep are you giving? If you're giving more hours to your job to make somebody else richer versus what you're doing for yourself to get yourself right, I believe that there's something wrong with that. I'm gonna call it out. I got to. Sounds crazy to me. But Irv, you're in school. But Irv, you're missing some law. Yeah, great. That's all great. But that's great. That's great. That's great. Yes, I do this. But when I put the time in there, I'm also look at the time that I'm also putting into school to better myself. And I also look at the time that I'm putting into going to sleep at one time, waking up at this time, staying up at this time, being active, ready, on the go. When you look at time, it's like, yo, wait a minute. I'm at about 24 hours. I'm at basically 1 day. Up for 6. How you map out time is amazing if you do it right. How you devote your 168 hours, that's really solely on you. Your week, your 7-day theory, now you're going to start sitting back and looking at yourself. How much time am I putting into? What am I doing? How am I giving my 168? Start doing the math like that. You look at it like it's out of this world. Because believe it or not, it is, and it's different. I could sleep in total 1 day, 24 hours. The rest of the time is devoted to students, school, study, travel, live on set with Irven, more meat in your mouth in the kitchen, shopping, time with the loved one, plural, FaceTime with brother and sister, random chats with cousins, quick check-ins. The things that's supposed to matter, right? Showers, getting clothes organized. I said travel already. Setting up the lights. There's so many different jobs that come into play when it comes to dealing with your 168. So when you start breaking your time down with the build-up and giving yourself a real schedule, you start to see how I break it all the way down. And you're able to look at your life, look at yourself and say, yo, I get it. Seeing your life in small boxes for some is the best and is so necessary. So, do it. Break it down. You'd be surprised, I tell you guys, this game is filled to the brim. And as you break your time out, you look at the time that you want to put into these things and the times that you put into these things, and it doesn't have to always make sense for now, but when you, wow. Being able to graduate, being able to finish these projects, being able to work on a show, being able to work on new recipes, being able to be around some amazing people. Listen, I believe that life is exactly what what you give is what you got. With that being said, we live on set. 168, figure out what your day, what your week is designed to be. How much time you really need to sleep. How much time you really need to eat. How much you really need to eat. How much water you're drinking. How hydrated are you guys? Trust and believe that. I'm a little thirsty right now just talking about water. We're live on set. We're discussing how to figure it out. And I believe, if anything, staying hydrated is a necessity. We are live on set and we're going to be back. Trust and believe that. Peace. If you're like most creators, then being original is your most valuable asset. And when you're ready to make huge improvements, it can feel as if everything costs too much or it takes too long. But something as simple as updated headshots from some law can separate you from what everyone else is still doing. Those you have industry standings with recommend some law for years so you know the job's going to get done successfully and at a low cost. Especially when those extra dollars got to go to something else in the budget like lighting, aerial shots, photo shoots, everything else that's studio requirements. Hit us up. Free consultation. Ask your questions. Maybe we can assist with what makes sense. Once you're able to think about the finances, the process of the project goes so much more smooth. Look, we're at the end of 2023. So for your photo shoots, headshots, aerial imagery, video, as well as musical production, don't wait any longer. Come see why we're one of the best recommended on the East Coast. Protect what's worth protecting. And I'll see you guys in the studio. Peace. So what did we learn today? We learned to give ourselves some space, some time to do what we need to do and not focus on anybody else's anything. Because technically, what it's going to be is what it's going to be. And if you don't got your stuff together, I mean, it's going to be a blow anyway, right? So with that being said, you might as well have your stuff aligned, together, ordered. Make sure you have your EPKs together. Make sure you got yourself, your headshots together. Make sure you're logging in and locking in with your people who are actually putting in that real work. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, show love when I come through. It isn't about being perfect. It's not about being perfect, but I tell you right now, what it is about is showing improving, and trust and believe that. You'll blink a few more times, and next thing you know, a lot of amazing things are happening for you. And you are sitting down in places that you've never been, and you're having conversation with those that really actually see the vision. So it's not about, seeing the vision for some, because a lot of people may have the ambition, but don't have the vision. And some people have the vision, but just really don't have that ambition. And with that being said, guys, we're live on set. I'm Irv, and we're handling our business, and you're handling your business. And I know that your strategy is different from what I got going on here, but I know how you're navigating it. And even if you don't have it all the way mapped out, drop it in the chat, because somebody can maybe give you something that you just didn't have. And that's what this platform's all about. Each one teach one. We're live on the set. However you are strategizing, do it. However you need to execute it, do it. Whoever your team is, lock it in and make sure whatever it is, do it. However you go about it. And I'm out. I got things to figure out as well on this side, because I have some editing to do. And yeah, man, listen, I've been getting my comments as far as my shirts as well. So again, shout out to stylists, shout out to T and the crew. I need to get my other things together, you know what I'm saying, as far as these lightings and these, but that's all coming together. But as I tell you guys, just push the button. Push it. All you have to do is just push the button. And just go and go and go. And sometimes some people are going to say, oh man, he's just dragging out. He ain't saying nothing. What's he actually talking about? Push the button and go. Because your thoughts, your intellectual property, how you letting things out, how you're going about things, and how you start to navigate and balance on and add on with other things. Listen, dog, this is what this industry is built on. Everybody's not able to push a button. Everyone's not able to push the button. And we're live on set. And we're strategizing, right? We're executing, right? Teamwork make the dream work, right? Each one teach one. So with that being said, have a blessed one, y'all. Do what you got to do. Put in the comments. I want to know what's going on, because I know it's a new year, and I know a lot of people got a lot of things going on. And I know a lot of people be shooting out to me on a personal note, but I'll need people to start communicating in the tweet, in the chat, and all that. You heard me? So with that being said, man, we out. I'm going to continue to figure these things out, because I got a lot of work to do.